You ever fight a war you didn't start? I have. And not in the kind with flags and orders and battle plans. I'm talking about a war of paint, fences, and principles. A war waged in the middle of the Texas Hill Country, and trust me when I say, it started over something small but ended with everything on the line. My name's Wes Callahan. I'm 45, ex-Army engineer, and the kind of man who doesn't like being told what color his barn ought to be. I live on 1,600 acres of wild, dusty freedom that my granddad carved out back when land was earned, not bought in lots. For the most part, life out here is quiet. Coyotes yap at dusk, wind stirs through mesquite, and no one gives a damn what shade your shutters are. Until the HOA moved in. 15 years ago, I leased out about 200 acres of the East Ridge to a developer. They promised a quiet neighborhood, called it SAW Whispering Trails SAW. Seemed harmless at the time. I had the buyback clause in place, 20-year lease, ironclad. I figured they'd pave some roads, plant some bluebonnets, and leave me the hell alone. But suburban peace doesn't stay peaceful when folks start confusing proximity with ownership. It started when this woman Dana Whitmore showed up at a county zoning meeting. Power haircut, teeth like polished daggers, and the smugness of a woman who's been clapping at waiters her whole life. She'd just been elected president of the SAW Whispering Trails HOA SAW, a title she carried like it was ordained by God himself. Her VY shown. To beautify the perimeter, which apparently meant demanding I paint my 100-year-old barn the same dull shade of misery they used on their VY and YL siding. She called it charcoal serenity. I call it the color of surrender. Now, this barn's been standing since before her subdi VY shown had running water, built with red-stained cedar that's seen more storms than their Wi-Fi router. I told her straight, the barn ain't changing, not for her. Not for anyone. She smiled, not the warm kind, more like a fox spotting a slow chicken. Said the HOA would pursue SAW external compliance strategies. SAW didn't sound neighborly. And sure enough, the letters started showing up. First came the notices printed on heavy stock paper, all legalese and puffed up threats. Apparently, some loophole in the county code gave them aesthetic oversight for properties visible from the subdi VY shown's main road. And wouldn't you know it, the flank of my barn caught just enough sunlight to offend someone's sensibilities during their morning dog walk. I called up Sheriff Langston, old friend, drinks his coffee black and his opinions unfiltered. He chuckled, said, "Wes, don't shoot anybody unless they climb your porch with a paintbrush." I didn't shoot, but I also didn't back down. Instead, I did what any rational, red-blooded rancher would do when poked in the pride. I repainted the damn barn in the loudest, most rebellious shade of outlaw red I could find. Took me 2 full days, a sunburn deep enough to blister my soul, and a whole lot of country music blasting through the job. When it dried, that barn looked like it wanted to punch a courtroom. I added a sign, 2 big block letters, SAW private property. No entry. No HOA. SAW. I even upgraded the security. Motion sensors, cameras streaming straight to cloud backup, perimeter lights, the whole 9 yards. Sent Sheriff Langston the GPS coordinates just in case someone got frisky. And I waited. Sure enough, 1 week later, on a calm Monday night, the motion lights blinked on. I opened the live feed on my phone, and there she was. Dana. Wearing black like she thought she was in SAW Mission, Impossible SAW, tiptoeing toward the barn with her phone out like she was gathering EVY Denke for some suburban tribunal. Except her stealth mission went sideways when she backed her Lexus into one of the barn's corner beams, crumpled the bumper, knocked out a headlight, and just froze. She tried to play it off, tried to snap a few pictures, then fled the scene, only she forgot that my cameras caught every angle, every curse word, even the moment she looked straight into the lens and whispered, "You bastard." I texted the footage to Langston, my lawyer, and my insurance agent. Captioned it, "SAW Dana met the barn. The barn won." SAW. That same morning, her insurance company called me trying to claim my barn was a hazard to shared VY Sewell territory. My lawyer, Helen Marsh, former JAG, sharp as a bayonet, she just laughed and said, "They brought glitter to a gunfight." Then came the real war. A thick envelope showed up on my gate. Inside, formal violation notice from the HOA claiming hostile aesthetic aggression. That's what they called it. Painting my barn red was now considered a threat to neighborhood harmony. They gave me 30 days to repaint. I gave them 30 seconds of silence, and then mailed them a laminated copy of my property deed and a freshly printed photograph of my middle finger. They sued, claimed emotional distress, filed to make me repaint, remove my signs, and I kid you not, rehabilitate the visual footprint of the barn. Helen filed a counterclaim for harassment, trespass, and misuse of legal process. She called it HOA kabuki. Then came court. What Dana didn't know was that I'd been biding my time. Because while she was blowing HOA funds like casino chips, I was flipping through old boxes in my granddad's study. And that's where I found it. The original lease signed 15 years ago, which clearly stated the HOA had no authority over any land not formally annexed. And that lease expired last month. So, the day of the hearing, while Dana's lawyer pontificated about color harmony and communal serenity, Helen stood up, handed the judge a folder thicker than Texas toast maps, deeds, and survey markers. She said, "Your Honor, my client owns 85 fan tram of the land on which this neighborhood stands. The lease expired. The HOA has no legal claim, and unless they intend to purchase the land at current value, we are revoking all access to private use infrastructure in 60 days. Which, in plain English, meant I could legally lock the gates, tear up the roads, and turn the tennis courts into pasture." The room deflated like a sad balloon. Dana blinked like she'd seen a ghost wearing overalls. Her lawyer turned the color of unseasoned grits. But it wasn't over. A week later, Dana snuck onto my land in the dead of night with some contractor named Greg who looked like he ran a YouTube channel called How to Get Arrested. They snipped wires, trashed a camera, tried to kill the security feed. What they didn't know, I had a hidden camera in the barn loft. Solar-powered. Audio too. I watched the whole thing live while sipping coffee and petting my dog Boone. 10 minutes later, cruisers rolled in. Flashlights. Cuffs. Dana screaming about community rights while Greg mumbled something about just following orders. She tried to run face-planted in a thistle patch. Video went viral before I even had a chance to post it. Some joker edited it with circus music. The HOA fell apart. Board members resigned. Residents panicked. One guy literally packed up and moved to New Mexico overnight. And me? I filed to dissolve the HOA mismanagement, overreach, violation of the lease terms. Judge signed it in less than 3 weeks. Whispering Trails HOA. Dead. In its place, I launched something new: SAW Whispering Trails Cooperative SAW. No dues, no color codes, no drama. Just common sense and voluntary community service. We had our first meeting at the barn. Folding chairs, coffee, chili dogs. 50 neighbors showed up. Some cried. Some hugged. One guy lit a bonfire using his old violation letters. I gave the clubhouse back. Turned it into a workshop and lending library. And the barn? The barn became SAW Freedom House SAW. Locals started sighting. Tour buses pulled up. People snapped selfies in front of that blazing red wall like it was the Alamo. Kids giggled at the footage of Dana's rock-throwing moment. Folks laughed over the quote plaque we nailed above the door. SAW welcome to the free zone where common sense beat conformity. SAW. Funny thing happened after that. People started acting like neighbors again. Planting flowers. Watching each other's dogs. Fixing fences together. And me? For the first time in my life, I didn't mind sharing a fence line. So yeah, you could say the barn won. But really, it saved us. Because out here, under a Texas sky too wide to fence in, freedom still stands tall, red, unapologetic, and just a little crooked. Just like the people who built it. So tell me, what would SAW have done? Drop a comment below. Tell me, was I right to fight back? Or should I have just painted it gray? And hey, if you've ever tangled with an HOA or a neighbor who tried to run your life, share your story too. Let's make sure the next Dana knows one thing. This land doesn't answer to a paint swatch. It answers to the people who live on it.